Back in the late 13th century, the Seljuk Sultanate of Rum, which was a historical state established by the Seljuk Turks in Anatolia, was struggling. They were being hit hard by Mongol invasions and dealing with a lot of internal problems. Around this time, in a small town called Sogut in Anatolia, something new was starting. This was the very beginning of the Ottoman Empire. Osman I, who was a leader of a nomadic Turkoman tribe, saw an opportunity amidst this chaos. He and his people started raiding the weakening Byzantine lands nearby. They were motivated by a warrior's code called Ghazi ideology and a straightforward desire for more land and resources. Osman's raids turned out to be quite successful, and by 1299, he felt strong enough to declare independence from the Seljuk rulers. This move set the stage for his descendants to build an empire that would last over 600 years. Osman I, who ruled from 1299 to 1326, was known for his conquests and for his leadership qualities and the legend that surrounds his rise. An interesting lesser-known tale about Osman involves a dream that is said to have inspired the empire's expansion. In this dream, a tree sprouted from his navel, its branches spreading far and wide, symbolizing the vast territories his successors would come to control. As the Ottomans expanded, they capitalized on the weakening Byzantine Empire. By the time Osman passed away in 1326, he had established a strong economic, political, and military foundation for what would grow into a vast empire. His early successes on the battlefields and strategic alliances laid the groundwork for an empire that would eventually dominate vast stretches of land and sea. Under the leadership of Osman's son, the Ottomans captured key fortresses including Bursa, which became the first major capital of the Ottoman state. Bursa was not just a strategic military victory, but also blossomed into a rich cultural and economic center under Osman's son Orhan. Orhan is credited with formally establishing the Janissary Corps, elite infantry units that became a major factor in future Ottoman military successes. Under Orhan, the empire continued its expansion into the Balkans, beginning with the conquest of the key fortress at Gallipoli in 1354, following an earthquake that damaged Byzantine defenses, a fortuitous event that anchored Ottoman power in Europe. These early years were crucial, setting a pattern of military, economic, and administrative strategies that would define the empire for centuries. Through strategic marriages, alliances, and military prowess, the foundation of an empire that would endure for over 600 years was laid during this period, blending a fascinating mix of destiny, strategy, and opportunity. Osman's son Orhan took over the reins and began significant expansion both in Anatolia and across Europe. Orhan's reign, which spanned from 1326 to 1362, saw the empire's territory more than double, showcasing the Ottomans' growing military and administrative prowess. Orhan, the second ruler of the Ottoman dynasty, played a pivotal role in military innovation by establishing a standing army that included the Janissaries. This elite infantry unit was one of the first modern standing armies and was notable for being among the first in the world to use firearms. The Janissaries were central to a system known as devshirme. In this system, Christian boys from the Balkans were forcibly recruited, converted to Islam, and trained from a young age to serve as soldiers. This practice supplied the empire with a core of highly loyal and skilled warriors. Beyond its military effectiveness, the devshirme system also had significant social impacts, as it aimed to integrate diverse peoples under the Ottoman banner. While the system strengthened the military, it also caused considerable resentment and trauma among the communities from which these children were taken. In 1364, Murad I achieved a landmark victory at the Battle of Adrianople, a decisive confrontation that demonstrated Ottoman military superiority and effectively opened the gates to Europe for further conquests. This victory was a psychological blow to European powers, signaling the arrival of a new formidable force in the region. Under Sultan Murad I, the Ottoman Empire didn't just deal with external battles, but also significant internal struggles, notably the first of many Janissary revolts which erupted in 1365. Originally established as an elite military unit, composed of forcibly recruited Christian youths who were converted to Islam and trained rigorously, the Janissaries had evolved by this time into a powerful political force within the empire. The revolt in 1365 was a pivotal moment, that highlighted the Janissaries' increasing influence. They demanded more pay and greater say in military and political matters, reflecting their growing role beyond mere soldiers to key stakeholders in the Ottoman administrative framework. This was a direct challenge to the Sultan's authority, indicating their potential to influence or destabilize the empire's governance. Murad I responded by negotiating with the Janissaries, which involved granting some of their demands to restore order and maintain their loyalty, which set a precedent for future sultans. This incident foreshadowed the complex relationship between the state and the Janissaries, which would oscillate between cooperation and conflict, ultimately influencing the empire's military and political strategies. In 1389, Murad's reign ended dramatically at the Battle of Kosovo, a bittersweet moment in Ottoman history. This crucial battle against the Serbian forces was primarily about establishing Ottoman dominance in the Balkans, a region vital for the empire's expansion. The battle was intense and closely fought from the start. Ultimately, the Ottomans emerged tactically victorious, securing control over a significant portion of the Balkans. This strategic victory marked a significant expansion of Ottoman territory and paved the way for further advances in the region. However, the victory came at a high cost. Sultan Murad I was killed during the battle, marking a significant and dramatic moment in Ottoman history. He became the first Ottoman Sultan to die in battle. His death at Kosovo was a symbolic one. It immortalized him as a martyr in the eyes of his people and highlighted the risks that came with leadership in the empire. This battle stands out for its military significance and for its impact on the legacy of Sultan Murad I and the future leadership of the empire. Following the death of Sultan Murad I at the Battle of Kosovo in 1389, the Ottoman Empire faced one of its most severe tests, the Ottoman Interregnum, a period of civil strife and fraternal conflict that lasted until 1413. This era was marked by a succession crisis that pitted Murad's sons against each other in a bitter struggle for the throne. Bayezid I, Murad's eldest son, initially succeeded his father. Known as Bayezid the Thunderbolt, he quickly began expanding the empire's territories further into Europe. However, his expansionist policies eventually led him into a direct conflict with Timur, also known as Tamerlane, a fearsome Mongol warlord at the Battle of Ankara in 1402. The battle took place near Ankara and was intense from the outset. Timur had strategically lured Bayezid into a battle far from his base, stretching the Ottoman supply lines thin. During the confrontation, Timur's forces, which included a large number of cavalry, and were well rested, decisively defeated Bayezid's tired and overextended army. The outcome was disastrous for the Ottomans. Bayezid was captured, becoming the first Ottoman Sultan to be taken prisoner. His capture threw the Ottoman Empire into a state of turmoil and led to a period known as the Ottoman Interregnum, or the Ottoman Civil War, which is also referred to as Fetret Devri in Turkish. During this turbulent time, Bayezid's sons, Suleiman, Isa, Mehmed and Musa Çelebi, fought viciously among themselves for control of the throne. This family feud created a power vacuum and intensified the turmoil within the empire. As a result, the Ottoman territories were split into several quasi-independent domains, each ruled by one of Bayezid's sons. This fragmentation threatened the very existence of the empire, turning it from a burgeoning regional power into a fractured entity that was vulnerable to both external threats and internal discord. This period of civil war and political chaos lasted nearly 11 years, from July 20th, 1402 until July 5th, 1413. Mehmed Çelebi, determined to end the strife and reunite the empire, strategically gathered his forces at Ankara and planned an invasion of Rumelia, which was then under Musa's control. As he marched towards Bursa, Mehmed's army was bolstered by troops from western Anatolia. Receiving significant support, including ships and additional troops from Manuel II Palaiologos, the Byzantine emperor, Mehmed managed to transport his forces across the straits from Constantinople to Edirne. The decisive confrontation took place at Samurlu, near modern-day Samakov in southeast Sofia, Bulgaria. The battle initially seemed in favor of Musa, despite the defection of key commanders like Pasha Yiğit and Sinan Bey of Trikala to Mehmed's side. However, with the strategic assistance of Serbian and Byzantine troops, the momentum shifted dramatically, Musa Celebi was ultimately defeated and fled the battlefield, but was soon captured and executed. Mehmed's victory at Samurlu ended the civil war and re-established the unity of the Ottoman state under his leadership. He was crowned Sultan Mehmed Babur, marking the reunification and stabilization of the empire after years of division and conflict. The Battle of Ankara, which had initially thrown the empire into disarray, is remembered not only for its dramatic military actions, but also for its profound and lasting impact on Ottoman history, setting the stage for the empire's resurgence under Mehmed I. The reign of Mehmed I marked a turning point as he embarked on significant administrative reforms and reconstruction efforts, rebuilding the empire's military and economic foundations weakened by years of civil strife. This period of recovery was essential as it restored stability, allowing the empire to resume its expansion and consolidate its territories in the subsequent decades. The year 1453 is a standout moment in history, often seen as the end of the Middle Ages and the beginning of the Ottoman Empire's golden age. This was the year Constantinople fell to the young Sultan Mehmed II, a city that had famously resisted sieges for over 1,000 years. Mehmed II, often called Mehmed the Conqueror, was just 21 years old when he demonstrated remarkable military skill and ambition in his quest to capture Constantinople. Ascending to the throne at 19, he quickly focused on the Byzantine capital, a city of immense strategic and symbolic significance as the gateway between Europe and Asia. Previous sultans had tried and failed to conquer it, but Mehmed was driven not only by strategic goals, but also by a desire to fulfill a hadith predicting a successful Muslim conqueror. This blend of ambition and prophecy fueled his determination to take the city. The siege of Constantinople began on April 6, 1453, and lasted for 53 days. Mehmed used several innovative tactics, including the use of massive cannons to breach the city's formidable walls, something previous attackers had failed to accomplish. He also had his troops carry out a blockade and constructed a wooden road across the Golden Horn to bypass the chain protecting the city's harbor. After weeks of relentless attacks, the city's defenses were finally overwhelmed on May 29, 1453. The fall of Constantinople was swift and marked a dramatic shift in power. The city was renamed Istanbul and became the new capital of the Ottoman Empire. This victory expanded the empire's territory. It also enhanced its prestige and influence, setting the stage for a period of significant growth and prosperity. Sultan Mehmed's conquest of Constantinople is remembered as a brilliant stroke of strategic thinking and is a pivotal chapter in the story of the Ottoman Empire. The capture of the city was a profound psychological blow to Christendom, and it dramatically shifted the balance of power in the region. Mehmed entered the city as a conqueror, but also as a ruler who understood the importance of tolerance and integration. He declared himself Kaiser-i-Rum, Caesar of Rome, positioning himself as the heir to the Roman legacy. Following the conquest, Mehmed II initiated a series of reforms to rebuild the devastated city. He repopulated Constantinople by importing artisans and traders from across the empire and beyond, transforming it into a cosmopolitan hub of culture, commerce, and diplomacy. The city, now known as Istanbul, was revitalized and soon became the heart of the Ottoman Empire. Capitalizing on the momentum from his conquest of Constantinople, the Ottoman Empire didn't rest on its laurels. Mehmed II continued his campaigns, extending Ottoman control over Serbia in 1459, the Morea in 1460, and the Empire of Trebizond in 1461. His ambitious campaigns set the stage for further territorial acquisitions across the Middle East and North Africa. Bayezid II, the son of Mehmed II, known as Mehmed the Conqueror, ascended to the throne in 1481. Unlike his father, Bayezid II adopted a more conservative approach during his reign, focusing on consolidating the Ottoman Empire's existing territories rather than expanding them aggressively. This period of consolidation set the stage for the next wave of dramatic expansions under his successors. Following Bayezid II, his son Selim I, often called Selim the Grim, took the throne in 1512 and marked a return to aggressive expansion. Selim dramatically extended the empire's boundaries, most notably through his conquests in the Middle East. He defeated the Safavids in Iran in 1514, which helped to solidify Ottoman dominance over the Sunni Muslim world against the Shia Safavids. In 1517, Selim annexed the Mamluk Sultanate of Egypt, bringing the key Muslim holy cities of Mecca and Medina into Ottoman control. With these territories under Ottoman control, Selim adopted the title of Caliph, thus positioning the Ottoman Sultan as the leader of the Sunni Muslim world. This title bolstered the empire's religious prestige and solidified its authority among Sunni communities, enhancing both the spiritual and temporal power of the Ottoman Empire. Selim's aggressive campaign set the stage for the empire's golden age under his son, Suleiman the Magnificent. When Suleiman the Magnificent took the throne in 1520, he inherited a powerful empire and was quick to demonstrate his military prowess. Under his leadership, the Ottoman Empire entered what many call its golden age, a period marked by extensive cultural achievements and significant territorial expansion. In 1526, Suleiman the Magnificent set his sights on Europe, specifically Hungary, for its strategic importance and current vulnerability due to ongoing internal conflicts and political turmoil. He led his forces into the Battle of Mohacs, where they scored a major win. Suleiman's army decisively defeated the Hungarian forces and killed their king, dramatically shifting the regional power balance. This victory was crucial for the Ottomans, significantly expanding their influence into Hungary and opened the door to further expansion into Central Europe. This win at Mohacs showcased Suleiman's military prowess and marked a key moment in the Ottoman expansion, highlighting their growing strength and strategic capabilities in European territories. Emboldened by his success in Hungary, Suleiman moved to capitalize on this momentum by besieging Vienna in 1529. This siege was a bold attempt to expand Ottoman influence further into the heart of Europe. The siege ultimately failed due to tough resistance, harsh weather, and logistical challenges. Despite not capturing Vienna, the effort solidified Suleiman's reputation as a formidable leader and the Ottoman Empire as a major European power. Beyond his military conquests, Suleiman is celebrated for his extensive legal reforms and patronage of the arts. He structured the empire's legal framework, which became known as the Kanun, a detailed system of laws that regulated everything from criminal law to land tenure. This legal codification standardized administration and facilitated the integration of diverse peoples within the empire. Culturally, Suleiman's era was marked by architectural achievements and artistic flourishing. The construction of the Süleymaniye Mosque, designed by the famed architect Mimar Sinan, is a tribute to the architectural and artistic vision of the era. The mosque, combining vast scale with aesthetic beauty, remains a symbol of this golden age. Suleiman's court was a vibrant hub of literary and artistic activity, influenced and inspired by Persian and European styles. This blend of influences showcased the Ottoman Empire's diverse and cosmopolitan nature. Notable advancements were made across various art forms, with significant developments in calligraphy, manuscript painting, textiles, and ceramics. Suleiman himself was not only a ruler but also an accomplished poet. He wrote poetry in both Persian and Turkish, using the pen name Muhibi, which translates to lover in Arabic. His poetry was so impactful that many of his verses have become integral to Turkish cultural heritage, echoing his deep engagement with the arts during his reign. After the death of Suleiman the Magnificent in 1566, the Ottoman Empire began to experience signs of administrative and military stagnation, a period that would stretch into the late 17th century. This era was marked by a series of less capable sultans, growing corruption within the administration, and increasing challenges in managing the empire's vast and diverse territories. The Ottoman Empire faced a significant challenge with the issue of succession, which played a crucial role in its gradual stagnation. Suleiman the Magnificent had adopted the practice of fratricide, eliminating potential rivals to ensure a smooth succession and to prevent civil strife. This led to less experienced rulers ascending the throne, contributing to a decline in effective leadership. One such example is Selim II, who reigned from 1566 to 1574 and was nicknamed Selim the Sot due to his fondness for alcohol. Unlike his father, Selim II's reign was marked by a lack of personal involvement in governance and military campaigns. He largely delegated these responsibilities, which led to a period of less dynamic leadership. Following Selim II, Murad III took the throne from 1574 to 1595. Murad III is notable for never having led his troops in battle, which was a significant departure from the practices of earlier sultans who were more engaged in military affairs. His reign saw the continuation of the empire's reliance on high-ranking officials to handle critical aspects of administration and military operations. During this time, the Ottoman Empire found itself engaged in a series of tough military confrontations. The long Turkish War, 1593 to 1606, against Habsburg Austria, ongoing conflicts with the Safavids to the east, and challenges from the increasingly powerful European navies in the Mediterranean stretched the Ottoman military to its limits. The long Turkish War, 1593 to 1606, against Habsburg Austria. This conflict, also known as the 15 Years' War, was characterized by a series of prolonged battles, primarily along the Danube frontier. The war began when the Ottomans, under the rule of Sultan Murad III, attempted to press further into Habsburg territories in Hungary. The battles were grueling and costly for both sides, marked by sieges, skirmishes, and changing alliances. The war eventually concluded with the Treaty of Zitvatarok in 1606, which, despite maintaining much of the territorial status quo, marked a shift in power dynamics as it required the Sultan to pay an annual tribute to the Habsburgs, a first in Ottoman-Habsburg relations. Simultaneously, the Ottomans were engaged in a bitter struggle with the Safavid Empire in Persia, a long-standing rival. The conflict was rooted in both territorial disputes and sectarian differences, as the Ottomans were Sunni Muslims and the Safavids promoted Shia Islam. The conflicts were intense, particularly under the rule of Sultan Murad III, and continued under his successors. These battles often stretched the empire's resources thin, as they had to manage fronts both in the west and the east. The war with the Safavids saw a series of fluctuating fortunes, which were somewhat stabilized under the Treaty of Amasya in 1555, delineating borders and granting the Ottomans control over much of modern-day Iraq. However, these borders remained contentious and conflicts resumed under later sultans. During this period, the rise of European naval powers like Spain, Venice, and later Portugal began to challenge Ottoman dominance in the Mediterranean. These powers were increasingly assertive, disrupting Ottoman trade routes and threatening coastal positions. The competition in the Mediterranean required the Ottomans to invest heavily in their naval capabilities and to engage in frequent maritime conflicts to defend their interests. Despite facing multifaceted military challenges that tested the limits of its strength, the Ottoman Empire remarkably managed to hold on to most of its territories. This success was largely attributed to two key factors: the loyalty of the Janissaries and the skill of provincial governors. The Janissaries, an elite military corps, were integral to the empire's defense strategy. Their discipline and fighting prowess played a crucial role in maintaining the empire's frontiers during these conflicts. Additionally, the provincial governors were pivotal in managing the vast territories of the empire. Their effective governance ensured local stability and allowed the central authority to concentrate on broader military campaigns without losing control over distant provinces. One of the more interesting, lesser-known aspects of this period was the rise of powerful women in the Ottoman court, particularly during the reign of Murad III. Women of the imperial harem, especially his mother Nurbanu Sultan and later his consort Safiye Sultan, wielded significant political influence, a phenomenon known as the Sultanate of Women. This era saw these women engage directly in politics and governance, often acting as de facto rulers through their sons. By the late 17th century, it became increasingly clear to the Ottoman leadership that substantial reforms were necessary to maintain the empire's competitiveness with European powers. This realization was crystallized after the significant military setback at the Battle of Vienna in 1683, where the Ottomans were decisively defeated by a coalition led by the Polish king John III Sobieski. The loss at Vienna marked a turning point, signaling the end of Ottoman territorial expansion into Europe, and prompting a series of administrative, military, and societal reforms. The first major set of reforms, known as the Tulip period, 1718 to 1730, under Sultan Ahmed III, showcased an early attempt to revitalize the empire through cultural innovation and the introduction of luxury items and artistic styles from Europe. This period also saw the establishment of the first printing press in Istanbul in 1727, although it was initially met with resistance from religious conservatives. Following the Tulip period, the need for more profound structural reforms became apparent, particularly in the military sphere. The Janissaries, once the elite troops of the empire, had become a reactionary force resistant to change. Efforts to modernize the military were met with significant opposition, culminating in several revolts. Sultan Selim III, who ruled from 1789 to 1807, launched a transformative series of reforms known as the Nizami Jadid, or New Order. These reforms were broad and ambitious, targeting several key areas to modernize the Ottoman Empire. They focused on overhauling the military by establishing new infantry corps trained and equipped along European lines, which marked a significant shift from traditional practices. Additionally, Selim III aimed to improve the empire's financial health through reforms in taxation, land tenure, and the control of the grain trade. Changes were also made to provincial governorships to enhance administrative efficiency. Despite the initial success and modernizing impact of these reforms, they sparked significant backlash from conservative factions within the empire, particularly the Janissaries and the ulama, religious scholars. These groups felt threatened by the changes, which they saw as a move away from the empire's traditional Islamic roots and power structures. The tension culminated in 1807, when a mutiny of the Janissaries led to Selim III's deposition. He was replaced by his cousin Mustafa IV, and Selim III was later assassinated. The real stride towards modernization was made during the Tanzimat period, 1839 to 1876, starting with the Hatay Sharif of Gulhane, which laid the groundwork for sweeping reforms in the legal, educational, and administrative sectors. These reforms aimed to reorganize the empire's administration and legal system along European lines, promoting concepts of centralization, equal citizenship irrespective of religion, and modern education. Notably, the Tanzimat reforms significantly altered the societal structure of the empire, giving non-Muslim communities more rights and a more prominent role in the empire's governance. These changes, while progressive, also led to tensions within the traditional power structures and among the empire's diverse populations. The Crimean War, which took place from 1853 to 1856, was a pivotal moment for the Ottoman Empire. The conflict was primarily sparked by a dispute over the rights of Christian minorities in Palestine, which was then part of the Ottoman Empire. Russia sought to extend its protection over these Christian sites in Jerusalem, claiming to defend Orthodox Christians. This ambition was part of Russia's broader goal to expand its influence in Ottoman territories. During this conflict, the Ottomans faced the expanding power of Russia. To counter this threat, they received significant support from Britain and France. This alliance proved crucial and was ultimately successful in holding back Russian ambitions. The Ottomans, threatened by Russia's ambitions, resisted these demands. Tensions escalated, leading to Russia's military action against the Ottomans. Concerned about the balance of power in Europe and not wanting Russia to gain control over parts of the Ottoman Empire, Britain and France stepped in to support the Ottomans. However, the war also exposed some deeper issues within the Ottoman Empire. Despite the military success, it became clear just how dependent the Ottomans had become on European powers. The war also highlighted the urgent need for the Ottomans to reform their military and infrastructure. It revealed their vulnerability and the pressing need to modernize to maintain sovereignty and resist external pressures independently. During the late 19th and early 20th centuries, the Ottoman Empire earned the nickname the Sick Man of Europe. This period was characterized by significant challenges that highlighted the empire's declining power and influence. The empire grappled with several major problems, including economic difficulties, due to a combination of internal mismanagement and external pressures and heavy debts incurred from continuous wars, and the need to modernize the military and infrastructure without adequate funds, ethnic uprisings due to a mosaic of different ethnic groups. And as nationalist movements gained momentum across Europe, various ethnic groups within the empire started to demand more autonomy or outright independence. These uprisings were a constant source of instability, and further military defeats that diminished its reputation and control and eroded the empire's control over its territories. which signaled its waning influence in the world. During the late 19th and early 20th centuries, the Ottoman Empire earned the nickname the Sick Man of Europe, a period marked by a series of significant challenges that underscored its declining power and influence. The empire faced deep economic difficulties, stemming from a mix of internal mismanagement and external pressures. Heavy debts accumulated from continuous wars and the urgent need to modernize the military and infrastructure, yet without sufficient funds, further strained its resources. Additionally, the empire's diverse ethnic composition led to instability. As nationalist movements gained momentum across Europe, various ethnic groups within the empire began demanding greater autonomy or outright independence, leading to frequent and disruptive uprisings. Moreover, the empire suffered several military defeats that not only diminished its reputation, but also eroded its control over territories. These defeats were critical blows that signaled the empire's waning influence on the global stage. Together, these issues contributed to the empire's perception as the weakening sick man of Europe. One of the pivotal events in this period was the reign of Sultan Abdul Hamid II, who ascended to the throne in 1876 during a time of crisis. In response to the empire's vulnerabilities, he implemented a series of further reforms known as the Hamidian reforms, which focused on centralization, modernization of the army and infrastructure development, including the construction of the Hejaz Railway, which aimed to strengthen the empire's control over its distant Arabian territories. The railway connected Istanbul to the holy cities of Mecca and Medina, which helped reinforce the empire's control over its distant Arabian territories. By making pilgrimage travel easier for Muslims, the railway also aimed to bolster the Sultan's image as a guardian of Islam. However, the reign of Abdul Hamid II, which ended in 1909, is also often remembered for its authoritarian nature, marked by a clampdown on civil liberties and strict control over the press. During his time in power, the empire experienced rising ethnic tensions and burgeoning nationalistic movements among its diverse populations. This period was particularly turbulent, leading to significant internal strife. One of the darkest chapters of Abdul Hamid II's rule unfolded during the 1890s, with the large-scale atrocities committed against the Armenian population. These events, known as the Hamidian massacres, were a brutal response to the growing Armenian demands for civil rights and autonomy. Triggered by fears that Armenian activism would threaten the stability of the empire, Abdul Hamid II government sanctioned and even encouraged violent actions against Armenians. These massacres resulted in the deaths of hundreds of thousands, deeply scarred community relations, and left a lasting legacy of trauma and distrust. However, the culmination of Abdul Hamid II's rule came when the Young Turks, a reformist and nationalist group within the Ottoman military and civilian elite, orchestrated a coup. In 1909, they successfully deposed Abdul Hamid II due to his autocratic rule and the empire's deteriorating conditions. He was replaced by his brother, Mehmed V, marking a significant shift toward more secular and constitutional governance in the empire. This change aimed to modernize and stabilize the Ottoman Empire by reducing the absolute powers of the Sultan and implementing a constitutional regime, setting a new course for the empire in the early 20th century. In the early 20th century, the Ottoman Empire faced a series of conflicts that significantly weakened its hold on key territories. The Italo-Turkish War, which spanned from 1911 to 1912, was particularly damaging. This conflict arose when Italy, aiming to expand its own empire, targeted Ottoman territories in North Africa. The Ottomans were ultimately forced to cede Libya and the Dodecanese Islands to Italy, marking a substantial loss of territory and a blow to their influence in the region. Shortly after the Italo-Turkish War, the Ottoman Empire was embroiled in the Balkan Wars from 1912 to 1913. These wars were fought against the Balkan League, which included Bulgaria, Greece, Montenegro, and Serbia. The Ottomans suffered devastating defeats and lost nearly all of their territories in the Balkans. This further reduced the empire's land holdings and significantly weakened its position in Europe. These back-to-back losses not only diminished the empire's territory and influence, but also created a sense of urgency among the Young Turks. This revolutionary group, which had successfully deposed Sultan Abdul Hamid II in 1909, saw the defeats as a clear sign that sweeping reforms were necessary. Motivated by these losses, the Young Turks pushed for radical changes to modernize and restructure the empire's government and military, aiming to salvage and stabilize what remained of their declining empire. Their efforts marked a pivotal shift towards more secular and nationalist policies in the late stages of the Ottoman Empire. After the Young Turks initiated their sweeping reforms aimed at modernizing and restructuring the Ottoman Empire, they faced new challenges with the outbreak of World War I. The decision to join the war on the side of the Central Powers in 1914 was pivotal and ultimately disastrous for the empire. This involvement led to enormous casualties and exacerbated the already severe economic difficulties. The war strained the empire's resources to the breaking point and deepened internal divisions. The empire's military was stretched thin across several fronts, and its economic infrastructure couldn't support prolonged engagement in such a vast conflict. Despite initial hopes that the war might revitalize the empire's fortunes and prestige, these hopes were quickly dashed as the realities of modern warfare and the strength of the Allied powers overwhelmed Ottoman forces. The war's conclusion was equally catastrophic for the Ottoman Empire. Under the terms of the Treaty of Sèvres in 1920, the empire faced severe territorial losses. The treaty proposed the partitioning of the Ottoman lands, which granted significant control of its territories to Greek, Italian, French, and British forces. This partitioning signaled the end of the Ottoman Empire as a cohesive political entity. It led to significant loss of sovereignty and was viewed as a national humiliation, a final blow that dismantled the empire's control over its own destiny. The aftermath of World War I and the Treaty of Sèvres set the stage for the Turkish War of Independence, led by Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, a distinguished military officer and a former member of the Young Turks, who opposed the treaty's terms. The successful conclusion of this war led to the establishment of the modern Republic of Turkey in 1923 under the Treaty of Lausanne. This new treaty effectively nullified the Treaty of Sèvres and established the boundaries of the new Turkish state, closing the chapter on the Ottoman Empire and marking the rise of a new, secular and nationalist Turkey under Atatürk's leadership. The legacy of the Ottoman Empire is complex, woven into the fabric of modern nations across 3 continents. Its influence can still be seen in the art, architecture, legal systems, and cultural practices of a wide swath of the world, from the Middle East to southeastern Europe. The dissolution of the Ottoman Empire led directly to the formation of several modern nations. Turkey most obviously emerged from the ruins of the empire, but the effects were also deeply felt across the Balkans, the Middle East, and North Africa, where new national boundaries were drawn, often without regard to ethnic, religious, or cultural realities. This redrawing of maps has had long-lasting implications, influencing conflicts and cooperation patterns in these regions up to the present day. Ottoman architecture and art continue to enchant the world, with their distinctive aesthetics that blend Byzantine, Persian, Arab, and European elements. Places like the Hagia Sophia and the Blue Mosque in Istanbul remain symbols of this rich cultural synthesis. Ottoman cuisine, music, and literature also reflect a melding of diverse traditions that have permeated and enriched global culture. The legal reforms initiated during the empire, particularly during the Tanzimat period, laid foundational structures for modern legal systems in the regions once controlled by the Ottomans. The concept of state over religion in legal matters and the reorganization of tax systems and land tenure have influenced contemporary governance in these regions. The Ottoman Empire was a central hub in the network of global trade routes, linking the East and West. Its strategic control of the trade passages between the continents influenced economic policies and diplomatic relationships that are still relevant in today's geopolitical strategies. In the realm of diplomacy, the empire's interactions with both Eastern and Western powers showcased its role as a pivotal intermediary in the early modern world, navigating complex alliances and rivalries that shaped the international order of the era. As we conclude this documentary series, we reflect on how the echoes of the Ottoman era continue to influence current affairs, culture, and national identities across 3 continents. If you found this series enlightening and want to dive deeper into the stories that have shaped our world, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Your support enables us to bring more of these detailed historical narratives to life. Share this series with friends, family, and fellow history enthusiasts, and help us grow a community passionate about understanding the past and its implications for our future. Have thoughts or questions about the series? Drop a comment below. We love engaging with you and hearing your perspectives. And remember, for more captivating history content, click the subscribe button and turn on notifications to never miss an episode from our channel. Join us as we continue to uncover the mysteries of history, one epic tale at a time. What part of history should we explore next? Let us know your thoughts and stay tuned for more.